Just greeted honorable members, amakhosi asendlunkulu akhona phakathi kwethu, and greetings to the honorable MEC, Ndabezitha, the chairperson of the KwaZulu-Natal House of Traditional Leaders, Inkosi Yesizwe, the senior officials of the Department of Land Reform and Rural Development, who have come all the way from Pretoria, and also the provincial representatives of the department, and also an honorable member of the Provincial Portfolio Committee, who is also with us here. We would like to start our meeting. Lapha ke sisendaweni ebikade iphethe umfundisi, and therefore we commence all our meetings with a prayer. Sure.
Thank you, Chairperson, and greetings to all honorable members. Amakhosi asendlunkulu. I'm looking for Dr. Malembe so that we can open with the prayer, as the Chairperson has instructed us, so that we have a proper start to our proceedings.
Honorable Chairperson, Bangazitha, yakhuleka inkosi yesizwe Mshinga, hlonishwa MEC amakhosi onke asendlunkulu. Honorable members, shall we pray? Heavenly Father, we appreciate the time that you give us this day. We do not take it light when we come like this. Here are our leaders that you have entrusted with the matters that pertain to this nation. We pray that the deliberations of today may yield so much impact that will affect the positivity and the growth and the development of this great nation. We thank you for your spirit that is here. We thank you for your grace. This we pray, receiving by faith in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you for the prayer. Honorable MEC, Honorable Ndabezitha Nkosi Yesizwe, I do want to introduce the members of Parliament that are here. We are a committee on land reform and rural development, a committee of the National Assembly in Cape Town. We are a multi-party committee, all parties represented in the National Assembly in Cape Town. On my left is the Honorable Nana. He is a member of Parliament representing the Democratic Alliance. Next to him is Honorable Matigizela. He's a member of this committee, a member of Parliament representing the Democratic Alliance. Next to him is Honorable Lucas, the member of the committee, and also a member of Parliament representing the ANC, and also former Premier of the Northern Cape Province. Next to her is Honorable Madlala, member of this committee, also member of parliament representing a MK party. And next to him is Honorable Mkletama, member of this committee, also a member of parliament representing Umkhonto. Next to him is Dr. Makhathini, the leader of the UAT, the party that is also represented in parliament and also a member of this committee. On my left, again on the next row, is Honorable Makhathini, a member of this committee, member of parliament, also representing the ANC. Where are the other members seated? Okay, these are the members that are here. Then we have our support team, support staff, under the leadership of Dr. Manenze. And yesterday we had the Deputy Director General, Mr. Ndove, and he apologized for today because he will be also joining us tomorrow. He has a commitment today. But we do also have officials from the Department of Land Reform and the Rural Development who actually are part of us, coming all the way from Pretoria. And also amongst us is Mr. Mngadi, who is standing in for the chairperson of the Provincial Portfolio Committee, Mr. Zuma. We were together yesterday at the Royal Palace, but today he actually is, he has a commitment. Today he will only be joining us tomorrow. Angazige Logovu Kona la there he is. And then I'm a member of parliament and a member of the committee, the portfolio committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Honorable members, may I request the Chairperson of the Provincial House of Traditional and Khoisan Leaders, Nkosi Ushinga, to introduce members of the executive who are here, Amakhosi, and also if the Chairperson can indicate from which district is Nkosi. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, MEC Shenge, and greetings to you, the Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Rural Development and Land Reform, and all the portfolio members present here, our DDG, and all the administration staff that is here from national and in the province, and Amakhosi present here. We've got our Deputy Chairperson, Nkosi Sithole, coming from Uthugela district, and he's also the Chairperson of that district, the local house of Uthugela district. Next to him, we've got Nkosi Mchunu from Umnjindi district, is also the member of the executive members of the Provincial House. Next to him is Nkosi Kumede from Ilembe district, also a member of the executive of this provincial house. Back on the left is Nkosi Pengu from eThekwini. Is a member of the executive. He was the former member or former chairperson of the provincial house after Shenge, Nkosi Buthelezi. Next to him is Nkosi Zulu from Herikwala district, a member of the executive of the provincial house. Next to him is Nkosi Ndebele from this district of Zululand. And the last member is Nkosi Kumete from Umkhanyakude district. He was also the chairperson of that district before this administration. Thank you very much, Program Director.
Sithokoza kakhulu Ndaba Ezitha. Mhlambe one would need to outline how the whole engagement is going to unfold. We had initially planned to have an audience with the MEC before we actually have a full meeting with Amakhosi. But that opportunity is still going to happen after this engagement. We'll have a few minutes, interaction with the MEC. So as it is now, we are actually going to be discussing matters with Amakhosi. But without further ado, I do want to thank Amakhosi for actually making time and also presenting us with this opportunity to be able to interact with Amakhosi. And Tina, we are a portfolio committee, as I have actually introduced ourselves, a portfolio committee on land reform and rural development. Sisebenza-ke following umthetho, because in terms of section 55(1) of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, Parliament has the powers to consider, pass, amend, or reject legislation. In addition, Parliament has a constitutional mandate for oversight over government action. We all know, Makhosi Sendlu Nkulu, that Parliament has the National Assembly, of which we are members, and the National Council of Provinces. The two houses actually establish committees with assigned powers and functions in accordance with powers granted to it by the Constitution. So the members that are here, as I introduced them, Ndaba Ezitha, they come from the National Assembly, and they are also members of this committee. We have a constitutional duty, as I have actually said, of oversight over the Minister of Land Reform and Rural Development, which includes the Department of Land Reform and Rural Development, and all other public entities under the portfolio, and one of which is the Ngonyama Trust Board, which is an entity under the Department of Land Reform. So that is why we are actually here. So we are collectively encouraged to continuously question ourselves regarding the extent to which our work contributes to the strengthening of a society based on democratic values, human dignity, the achievement of equality, and the advancement of human rights and freedoms in building a united and democratic South Africa. So we are committed to those values. From time to time, we want to ensure that we actually do not asiphumi kulo mgudu esisebenza ngawo. Silapha ke ukuzohlangana namakhosi ngoba if you look at the establishment of Ingonyama Trust and you look at the act, ikusho kucaca ukuthi Ingonyama Trust ikhonela ukusebenzela inhlalakahle nentuthuko yomphakathi lapha esebenza khona. And the schedule in the act itself specify ukuthi who are those communities. There are almost 300 traditional councils that are enumerated in that schedule, who are the primary beneficiaries of the Ingonyama Trust. So ke sitheke kuyoba akuphelele ukusebenza kwethu nxa sesila kwaZulu Natal uma singakwazanga ukuba ke so lumana izindlebe namakhosi angama beneficiaries. So I do want to emphasize ukuthi at this stage the committee is on a fact-finding visit in order to gather information about the dynamics. It will then analyze that information and our observations and then compile a report and then present our findings to the National Assembly. So that is our main purpose of being here. Sizolalela nabe besilo, sizolalela makhosi asendlunkulu, ukuzwa imbono yenu nemizwa yenu ngalokho nokusebenza nje generally kweNgonyama Trust. Nxa sengiphetha ke, I do want to also emphasize that the committee operates within a framework set up under the Constitution, as I have actually said in my preamble, the rules of National Assembly. It oversees implementation of legislation and government policies, including allocation of budgets and expenditure. So the execution of the policies and laws, including ensuring that the ITP performs its functions that it was established for, falls within the ambit of the executive, that is the Minister of Land Reform and Rural Development. So the minister is the executive authority. Ingonyama Transport is an accounting authority. So that is why on Thursday we'll be meeting with Ingonyama Transport because they are an accounting authority. We have met with the minister and he has briefed us sihlangane naye ngomhla ka 14 January wasinikeza imininingwane nembono yakhe ngokwenzakalayo kwi-ITB. We also had an occasion of meeting with the minister again in February. I think it was on the 21st of February, where also the minister shared with us his perspectives about what is actually going on in Ingonyama Trust. So, as I said, we are on a listening mission from all stakeholders. Namhlanje njoba sizobona amakhosi asendlunkulu kungaleso sizathu. So, I thank you. Zibonake ukuthi noma ezosipha, even though the MEC is still going to give us an audience, but there is nothing that actually prevents him from actually saying anything in this meeting now, because he is actually the line function department. He heads that department, and Amakosi are his direct, constituency that he is servicing through his department. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. And honorable members, Amakosa Sendlunkulu. May I introduce also the commander of the regiments of His Majesty the King, Induna Umhlongo, and also Induna Umnjindi, who are amongst us accompanying Amakhosi. And may I also introduce the team from COGTA. Next to me is the Deputy Director General from COGTA in the province in charge of traditional affairs, Mr. Ndota Biela. We also have the Chief Director from COGTA in charge of planning, Ms. Lisa Del Grande. She is also a former member of Ingonyama Trust Board. We also have the Head of Legal Services, Mr. Mngango, and the Head of Ministry, Mr. Ntutugo Pagati. And we also have the Parliamentary Liaison Officer, Dr. Skonzi Malembe from COGTA. We will be joined by the Head of Department, Dr. Joey Krishnan, who is currently engaged in a virtual meeting with the Select Committee on Water and Sanitation. But Chairperson, let me appreciate this opportunity on behalf of COGTA, because the presence of Amakhosi, even though they will have their own input, is because the feelings of Amakhosi are the feelings of COGTA in the province. If we have to zoom into Ingonyama Trust Board, the problem with the current Ingonyama Trust Board is that they think that they are the first board to be in place, whereas they are not. There have been many boards before them. Among us, we have a former member of the Ingonyama Trust Board, Inkosi Kumete, who worked for a long time on Ingonyama Trust Board. And at the time, the beneficiaries of the trust were always at the core of the planning of Ingonyama Trust Board. But unfortunately, in 2023, there was then a board which was appointed for politically expedient reasons to emasculate the powers and roles of Amakhosi in relation to the administration of land in KwaZulu-Natal, and that is where the problem started. Ingonyama Trust Board, for as long as it has been in place in 1994, every year there were 4 consultative meetings with Amakhosi. So every quarter there was a consultative meeting with all Amakhosi who represent beneficiaries. But since the new board came in 2023, there's not been a single consultation with the beneficiaries of the land. Not one consultation. But you have a board which has assumed to itself powers way beyond what the statute envisioned. Because there was Ingonyama Trust Board, but before Ingonyama Trust Board, there was Ingonyama Trust Act in 1994. And that act was passed just 500 meters from where we are sitting today. But due to the administrative complexities that arose, then there was an amendment, as members would know, in 1997, 1998, to introduce the Ingonyama Trust Board as an administrative arm of Ingonyama Trust, but not to usurp the powers of the trustee and the powers of Amakhosi. And the problem we have now as COGTA, as the custodian of traditional leadership in the province, is that you've got an Ingonyama Trust Board that has usurped the powers of Amakhosi with regards to the administration of land. Because the land is not state land, it's not government land. It's land that was protected and put under Ingonyama Trust so that it would not fall under state land. So this visit by the Portfolio Committee comes at the right time, because since 2023, we have just been in wilderness, both as COGTA, but Amakhosi will speak for themselves as to the behavior of this board, which feels that they are a power unto themselves. They have not visited a single traditional community. You know, what the portfolio committee has done today is what is supposed to have been done by Ingonyama Trust Board, to come and visit the communities on whose behalf, on which they claim they represent. They have never been to this part of the world. They've never been to any of the areas as Amakhosi were being listed per district. They've never been to a single district. But they are sitting in Pietermaritzburg, and their only duty every day and their only preoccupation is to insult His Majesty the King. So we are sitting in a problem now as COGTA, because the communities who were listed in the Ingonyama Trust Schedule A as the beneficiaries of this land are not getting any benefit because of a board that has no interface with the communities. And I thought, Honorable Chairperson, let me preface my remarks in that manner, because you know the trustee of Ingonyama Trust Board is not up to us as who is the trustee. It's a creature of statute. The statute says who shall be the trustee, and the statute says who shall be the chairperson of the board. It's not a discretion, but it's the act which says His Majesty Isilo shall be the chairperson of the board. Is in the law. But if you have a board whose daily occupation is to be hostile to the chairperson, what do we expect will come out of the workings of that board? Even as COGTA, as the line function department, we have not met with the board. We are working with close to 300 Amakhosi. We are working with 3,640 Izigodi, which are the villages. On a daily basis, we are working with 3,600 Izinduna. But the board does not see a point of meeting, you know, with COGTA, which is part of the core, you know, machinery of servicing the beneficiaries. So I think, Chairperson, the portfolio committee has come at the right time, because maybe the portfolio committee will be able to engage with the board, and the board would explain to the portfolio committee what has His Majesty done that they should be so hostile and so insulting to our king. Maybe the portfolio committee will be able to get that. Maybe Ingonyama Trust Board can share with you why are we so insignificant as Amakhosi and as COGTA that they should not sit with us and we plan the development and the development of the communities which they seek to represent. So there is an anomaly in the way this board operates. There is an anomaly in the way it was constituted, and that is borne out by the fact that even in all the public consultations which Amakhosi have convened and which Isilo has convened, they have not attended a single one. Even when they are invited, they don't come. So our appeal as COGTA is really for the portfolio committee to use the powers vested in the portfolio committee to normalize the situation by advocating for the dissolution of this board. Because from where we are sitting, there is no other remedy which will work when there is a standoff between His Majesty the King and the board. It's been a very strenuous situation, an untenable situation from 2023. We are now in 2025, and the biggest casualties are the beneficiaries who are supposed to be receiving much needed assistance from the operation of the board. But beyond that, I'm hoping that also when Amakhosi deliberate, because we attended a consultative meeting on Friday. Beyond that, honorable members, as COGTA, it is clear to us that at some point, sooner rather than later, there is going to have to be an amendment to the Act, Ingonyama Transport Act, because the current situation is not working. And we are hoping that when the time is right, that amendment will be shared. But the current situation where the land of the Zulu people must be accounted for in Pretoria is not tenable. Because at the time in 1994, structures such as the Provincial House of Traditional Leaders were not there. But progressively, there have been structures in place now that have been put which can better safeguard the land of the Zulu people than the current arrangement, where you have outsiders sitting on a board, people from outside the province sitting on a board with no historical link to KwaZulu-Natal, with no understanding of what the aspirations of the Zulu kingdom are. And they are making decisions on a daily basis simply because they are appointed by a minister. So I think going forward, that situation would have to be resolved. But let me extend a warm welcome, Honorable Chairperson, to the members of the Portfolio Committee on Land Reform and Rural Development. A warm welcome to Ulundi, which is a place of profound historical significance and which was the last stand of the Zulu defense against British colonialism. This is the cornerstone of the Zulu kingdom, which was burnt to the ground by the British on the 4th of July, 1879. But through the vision of the late Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, he was able to build Ulundi into the city that it is today as a symbol of Zulu pride and identity. It is therefore a distinct honor for me to address the esteemed members of the committee on a very important and pertinent question which resonates deeply with our history, our identity, and our future. Just for a few moments, I would like to focus specifically on the perspective of COGTA on land governance based on the department's responsibility in relation to the institution of traditional leadership as a foundation of our input into the area of Ingonyama Trust Board. We welcome the various platforms which the committee has engaged in. We are aware that the Portfolio Committee has engaged with His Majesty and the representatives of His Majesty the King. And this opportunity by COGTA to us presents a unique context for us to present our perspective on Ingonyama Trust Board. Honorable members, I must state that all we want to see is that the principles of administrative justice, fairness, and respect in the manner in which issues of Ingonyama Trust are handled. And without a shadow of a doubt, from where we sit as COGTA, we can say that the current board has dismally failed to ensure administrative justice, fairness, and development for the beneficiaries of Ingonyama Trust. The Act places Isilo as custodian and trustee of Ingonyama Trust, and that was not by coincidence, but it was carefully thought out because Isilo represents the aspirations of the Zulu Kingdom, and under Isilo are Amakhosi, who are represented today by EXCO, to ensure that at the end of the day, the beneficiaries obtain the ultimate benefit of the land. As COGTA, ours is to support Amakhosi to execute their function and to enhance the capacity of the institutions of traditional leadership to develop the land on behalf of the rightful owners of the land, who are the communities. Not Ingonyama Trust Board, but the communities are the rightful owners of the land. The conduct of the ITB in the last 2 years would seem as that they feel as if they are the rightful owners of the land. You know, just last year, this present board decided to sell land belonging to the Zulu people in Palito for 19 million rand because they said they don't need the land. It's a farm. So without any consultation, they just decided to sell the land. And they have signed hundreds and hundreds of leases on land impacting Amakhosi. But Amakhosi are in the dark as to what is the real economic benefit which the communities will derive out of these leases which have been signed by the board. Amakhosi just see a company coming in, putting in a tower, and they say, no, we have signed with the board, with no role for the community and no role for Inkosi. As you are aware, the ITB manages vast tracts of land in trust for the benefit of the Zulu nation. And COGTA family believes that Amakhosi, as the custodians of the land, culture, and heritage, must play a central role and must be empowered to play a central role in the administration and management of the land. It can't be that in 2025, when King Echwayo defended the land against British invasion so that the Zulus could administer their own land, in 2025, the land is still being administered by people who have no interest in the material welfare of the beneficiaries. Therefore, to us as COGTA, it's not simply a matter of administrative efficiency, but it's a matter of recognizing and respecting the deep spiritual connection between our people and their land. A connection that is fundamentally mediated through the institution of Amakhosi, and that institution is symbolized in the presence of Isilo. And Honorable Chairperson, if we can just sum up in one sentence what is the problem with ITP, is that they do not recognize the authority of Isilo. And as long as that board is in place, we are going to have a problem in KwaZulu-Natal about the development of land. If we can just sum up in one sentence. It is common knowledge that based on various utterances in the media and articles on the matter, that the relations between this board of 2023 and Amakhosi in general and Isilo in particular has been unfortunately strained. And this is evident based on the following 4 facts. Because I would like to give our perspective as COGTA as what is causing the strain between Isilo and the board. Number 1, previous boards engaged Amakhosi regularly, as I have said, in fact quarterly, on all matters, including permissions to occupy PTOs, leases, and potential developments. Ever since the new board assumed office, there has been no such engagements. There has been a lack of consultation on all matters affecting the land of Amakhosi and His Majesty. It would be interesting to see if the board can produce even minutes of a single meeting that they have held consulting the affected communities. Just one meeting between 2023 and now. Number 2, there is no transparency in the operations of the Ingonyama Trust Board to what can only be described as its shareholders, because the people are the shareholders of Ingonyama Trust. The people of Amakhosi are the shareholders, but there is no transparency. Amakhosi do not know how much money is in Ingonyama Trust, what are the resources available, how much are the executives being paid. There's just no transparency. Which land has been sold for what? So the lack of transparency is the second factor that causes strain. The third point is that the board considers itself a law unto itself with a confused and distorted role as to how Amakhosi should be featured in decision making. And it is this confusion and this distortion which has led to the strain in relations. And finally, the attitude and approach of the board and those it represents has led to a lack of trust and a breakdown of trust. It is inconceivable that a board can be in office for so long, yet does not see the need to interact with those they represent. And therefore, our position as COGTA is grounded on these realities, and it is our considered view that for the communities to benefit from Ingonyama Trust, this board must be dissolved without any delay. Amakhosi are the living embodiment and custodians of our law, and that is recognized in the Constitution. Empowering Amakhosi in land administration and management will ensure that decisions made by the board are aligned with those which are required by the communities. To us as the people of KwaZulu-Natal, land is not merely an economic asset, but it is a source of identity, belonging, and spiritual connection. And it is such also for our communities who are represented by Amakhosi, and it is such also for Isilo, who is the embodiment of the aspirations of the Zulu people. Amakhosi are deeply rooted in their communities, and they understand better the needs and aspirations of their people. Therefore, their direct involvement in land administration will foster a genuine sense of ownership, which will ensure that decisions are made in a participatory and inclusive manner. I have with me our Chief Director, Liza Del Grande. You know, arbitrarily, the Department of Land Affairs decided to take away the power of Amakhosi to sign permission to occupy, and to say that power must now vest with the National Department of Land Reform. And this board supported that decision. A decision which was not in the best interest of the people. Because I do not see how an official sitting in Cape Town can better understand the needs of the people of KwaMakhasa in Hluhluwe, and then give that power to the Department of Land Affairs in Pretoria to sign a PTO on land which they don't even know on which part of the map is that land. But you see, it has been a steady and consistent emasculation of the roles, powers, and functions of traditional leaders, which has been done by the Department of Land Reform, aided and abetted by this board. And as we sit now, the power to sign PTOs is sitting with the National Department. But here in Ulundi, there were people employed all these years that were assisting Amakhosi with the signing of the PTOs. We can even go now, there is a huge registry, an archive, where we have stored all the files for the benefit of Amakhosi to have easy access to the files which they need with regards to their land. But that power has been taken away now, and it now sits in Pretoria. It's a practical example of the decisions made by this board which work against the interests of the people they purport to represent. Therefore, as I draw to a close, Honorable Chairperson, the presence of the Portfolio Committee today to us as COGTA is a much needed solution and is a balm to our souls, because for the first time we are seeing now a bit of light at the end of the tunnel, where the IT beef will for once account as to what are they really doing for the benefit of the communities that they represent. COGTA commits itself to being available to assist the department to unlock the bottlenecks, because when all is said and done, all these mines that are on the land of Amakhosi and all these shopping centers do not benefit the people. So we should go far enough to question the role of the board in holding all these owners of the mines accountable, to say how much of this money that is collected in royalties goes back to the people, or is it sitting in the minerals trust account in Pretoria? You know, you've got land under Ingonyama Trust which was called R293 townships, which belonged to the Ingonyama Trust. Government just took that land with no compensation. Up until today, there's been no compensation. All the public infrastructure on the land of Amakhosi, there's been no compensation. But for every other structure in the country, there must be compensation. But But when it comes to the land of the Zulu people, it must just be taken for free. And all those who are mining must mine, and then they pay to a central account in the Department of Minerals and Energy, and nothing goes back to the people. As we speak, in Richards Bay Minerals, Amakhosi under the Dube and other communities who are there, Mkwanazi, have got no benefit for all the mining that is taking place there. But the owners of the mine claim that they are paying 4 billion in tax and so many billions in royalties to the Department of Minerals and Energy. But how much goes to the people whose land it is? These are the questions which Ingonyama Trust Board should be grappling with, not this wild goose chase of seeking to undermine His Majesty the King. And that is the nexus of the problem. Therefore, in a nutshell, Honorable Chairperson, as COGTA, we are advocating for a greater role of Amakhosi in the running and administration of Ingonyama Trust. We are advocating for the dissolution of the board, as it does not serve any purpose rather than to pursue their own interests. And finally, let us not forget that we are where we are today due to compromises that were achieved in 1994. But particularly to us in KwaZulu-Natal, the most important victory in 1994 was to secure the land. There is no other province which was able to secure the land except KwaZulu-Natal. And therefore, as COGTA, we will use all the legal means to ensure that the status and dignity of His Majesty is enhanced. We will use all powers at our disposal legally to enhance the role of Amakhosi, and we'll use all legal resources available to defend the land of the Zulu people, because it's not government land. You know, some people in the media say, oh, Ingonyama Trust is government land. It's not government land. It's the land of the Zulu people, which was secured through legislation. And I think the role of the current board, you know, complicates issues, because instead of siding with the beneficiaries of the land, they've opted to side with people who have no interest in the development of the Zulu kingdom. Honorable members, Amakhosi, Asendlunkulu, we look forward to engage with the committee. We look forward for an Ingonyama Trust Board which will unlock the immense potential of the land under ITB. We look forward to the speedy dissolution of the current board so that much needed rural development and the creation of economic opportunities can ensue. And we believe that through this constructive dialogue, as the Portfolio Committee has started today, and through open communication and mutual respect and a shared commitment to the well-being of our people, we can find a way forward that will respect Isilo, affirm his role as the trustee, and promote sustainable development and ensure a more equitable and prosperous future for the communities under Ingonyama Trust. I thank you, Chairperson.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable MEC. Noma ngibona indlu yakho, mina ingishayelanga ihlombe. Yeah, Thank you. Thank you so much, Honorable MEC, for amazwi oswabekile. Indeed, members are here to listen, and we've actually been listening very attentively, and to some instances, members taking notes. This is precisely what we are here for, and therefore we are immensely grateful for that opportunity and for your input, Honorable MEC, on behalf of your department and also on behalf of the Amakosi, even though they are still going to actually make their own contributions. Makhosi Sendlunkulu bengacela ukudlulisa ithuba nikeze inkosi usihlalo wamakhosi kwi-province kwaSoweto.
Siyabonga ukuthola leli thuba bangazitha nekomiti lilonke sesike sabingelela phambilini singamakhosi besilindele nje ukuthi umpangazitha uzothini emakhosini ngoba amakhosi abengahlelanga lutho lokuthi angase athi abeke kanjani engakayizwa indaba, but to set the scene, I will just make some few remarks. As the KwaZulu-Natal Provincial House of Traditional and Khoisan Leaders, we are very honored that the Portfolio Committee on Land Reform and Rural Development has taken its time to come and hear our views as traditional leaders on matters about land reform and rural development. As Amakhosi, our view is that the prosperity of our communities lies in opportunities brought about by the improvement of access to land, economic growth, and food security. We view any organization that seeks to foster land redress and contribute to rural development as a valuable partner to us. We are here today to contribute by providing insightful inputs that will assist the committee to have a clearer understanding of the matters concerning land reform and rural development in KwaZulu-Natal. As we are gathered here, we are well aware of the socio-economic challenges our rural communities are currently facing. As members of the South African society, I believe that we are well aware that the government alone cannot bring all the solutions to the challenges mentioned above. It is therefore vital that working relations similar to the one we are enhancing today become the order of the day in efforts to reduce unemployment, poverty, and crime. We are hopeful today's engagement will make great strides in efforts to provide equitable access to land, transform land ownership patterns, promote sustainable agriculture, rural development, develop rural communities, and business stimulate economic growth through agricultural production and ensure food security through sustainable agriculture and food safety. We call on the community to ensure that the department's programs which aim to provide land to landless South Africans to support rural enterprises, establish rural cooperatives, agro-industries, and cultural initiatives, and upgrade infrastructure in villages and small towns are revitalized and streamlined for enhanced efficiency and effectiveness. We further call on the committee to make provisions and criteria that will enable many capable traditional leaders to become members of the Ingonyama Trust Board. We make this call because we strongly believe that no decision that concerns us and our traditional communities should be taken without us. Throughout the years since 1994, we have noticed that our interests have not been properly served on the board due to the minimal representation of Amakosi in successive boards of the trust. Members of the portfolio committee in Bangazita, there was not much that Amakosi has prepared to give you on the matters of the Ingonyama Trust Board, as the King has convened an imbizo or Isibaya Samadoda on Friday last week, where matters were raised by Amakosi and Izinduna, Amabuto, and the resolutions are with the King, and we hope that as you have been with the King yesterday, you have received a lot from those resolutions that came out of that Isbaya on Friday, where all these Amakosi were there, and other Amakosi, the whole Amakosi of the province were present on that meeting on Friday. But that doesn't mean I will wrap up for Amakosi. Amakosi will still have the opportunity to say some few words and some ways of how can we make this ITB work for all of us as Amakosi, because we want the board or the committee and the department to establish good relationships with Amakosi, with the King, with the communities and the board. We don't want this thing that is just happening right now. So I will just hand over to Amakosi so that we can also have their views on this matter. Thank you.
Sithokoza kakhulu ndaba ezithe inkosi yesizwe. I think I will allow some few minutes for first Amakosi to actually also express their own perspectives, and then after which then a few minutes of engagement. Members would be free to ask questions and also, clarity seeking questions, and also, follow up on some of the key issues that were actually presented here.
Sihlalo uNkosi uGumede uyangisabisa ukuthi wawungekho vele ngolesihlanu kanti ngangikhona sihlalo. Sihlalo wekomiti baba uMncango, umdala bingelele kuwena, usihlalo wendlu Nkosi uShinga, umdala Khuleke Ndelo, MEC baba uThelezi umfundisi, nekomiti lonke likhona. Cishe ngabe umuntu wenza iphutha uma ngabe ikomiti sizolihlohla isingisi kuloko kusukela ekseni kuze kube lesikhathi samanje, kanti phela sikezweni laKwaZulu nabo nabethi bayahamba bathi hayi siyahamba siyezulwini, so bakhona impela ke ezulwini kufanele baluze ulimi lwasezulwini ukuthi sithini. Cishe kwami Sihlalo baba Mngcwangu ukubonga egameni lamakhosi ukuthi nize nizokwenza lo msebenzi eniwenzayo, ngoba ngiyakholelwa ekuthenini ukuze siphume kulolu daba esikulona njengoba MEC belihlahla nosihlalo belihlahla, cishe sesithembele kunina ukuthi nine nizoza nekhambi ukuthi kwenziwa njani makunje, ngoba udaba oluthinta abantu abadala thina sibancane kulona. Noma ngabe ngokweminyaka sihlalo ngithe kuba mdadlanyana kuno MEC, kodwa ngokwesihlalo kuhleli kusona uthe kuba mdala kunami. Ngifisa ukuthi Baba Mngcwangu, we thank the work that is going to be done by the committee to do the proper consultation on the matter of Ngonyama Trust, because it's giving us sleepless nights. And I think you've taken a proper and a correct direction to come and consult in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, other than solving the problem while we're at the national. So I want to applaud the committee for doing that, to do the consultation. But my input as Inkosi Zulu from Herigwala, if we can have an amendment on the Act, trying to strengthen the Board of Trustees, because in the Act it says the beneficiaries of the Ngonyama Trust are the people of KZN. So if in the board we can have representative from all districts to be represented in the Ngonyama Trust, I think that can make a meaningful and a workable solutions. Grabbing this opportunity, as I will be sitting down, Baba Mngcwangu, I will miss it, the issue of Trust and the CPAs in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. Kuyinkinga Baba Mngcwangu ukuzowakha structure phezu kwe-structure esikhona, because the CPAs and the trust, when the land is being restituted back to Amakhosi and its communities, and we form another structure on top of the structure that is existing. Baba Mngcwangu, I think ngabe ngiyisishuma noma ngabe ngihluleke ukubeka senikhona ukuthi that issue enye ama-issues ayinkinga KwaZulu-Natal. MEC, you are our witness. Late Nkosi Khumalo from Amajuba district is one of the issues of which we think they assassinated him, always raising up those issues that at Amajuba district and other districts, these issues of trust and CPAs are the challenges that are facing Amakhosi in the KZN province. I thank you so much, Chairperson Baba Mngcwangu, for the opportunity. And if you can sort this issue of trust and CPAs, probably ngiyokunikeza inxiwa nomakhoda esizweni. Ngiyabonga.
Angizulala ndawo ezithe ngifuna ikhambi lalenda ngoba lo carrot odenglishwayo umhle kakhulu.
Ngithokoze sihlalo wekomiti, sihlalo wethu MEC, amalunga e-portfolio committee. Umuntu bethi mhlambe ngeke aphawule la. Ngicabanga ukuthi sihlalo angicebe namhlanje ukuthi ngingomunye wabantu ababekhona kuhulumeni wakwaZulu ngo-1994 kuxoxwa ngalomthetho.
sasinenhloso ke esasinayo ngaleso sikhathi. Inhloso kwakuvikela izwe lakwaZulu. Kwenziwa ke lo mthetho ngo94 engikholwa ukuthi kwaba wokugcina. Kuyiqiniso ukuthi abanye bakubuka ngokuthi mhlambe kwakunobugebengu because kwakumthetho wokugcinwa phasayo. Kodwa inhloso ngempela zasingebona ubugebengu. Kwakuvikela izwe lakwaZulu. Namhlanje umuntu uyabuka uqhathanisa iconfusion ekhona nabantu asebe involved kwingonyama trust. Bese uqhathanisa ngo94 ukuthi sasenzani. Uyaxakeka nje ukuthi kwenziwani. Yiyo sihlalo ngithi ake ngiyicebe ukuthi kangikhona. Ngingomunye mhlambe kwabayi few. Umthetho sihlalo uba nento esibiza ngeobject. I am not a qualified lawyer. Kodwa ngaphuma ngeresearch. Ithini object yengonyama trust act? I-object ithini? Why isihlalo sihlupheka ubumthetho ukhona? Ngoba i-object umthetho nomthetho une-object. Umoya kwi-object iyakutshela ukuthi le act is to provide, is to regulate these. Sihlushelwani manje thina? Okwesibili, ngingaboni mangifaka ibuko. Uma umubuka lengxaki esesikuyona, mhlambe okubalekile usibuza umbuzo sikhombuzana. Who is who in a zoo? Who is who in a zoo? Yini kanti trust ngempela? Yini kanti trust? Ngoba ama beneficiaries ale trust. Kade sihlalo ngiphenya la. Ngazi kuthiwa kuyagooglisha. Kodwa ngikholwa ukuthi na umthetho bengithi angilokhuze la khona ngizoyifunda lento ngoba ugcina usuyibuza nje ukuthi why sihlushwa into elula. Abantu mabenza into bengene kuyona bebambe istaff. Yini bayishintshe bayibhekise eceleni ibihloso ikhona yokuthi into eyisungulelwana. Lana sihlalo ngicela ukufunda nje ukuthi who are the beneficiaries of ingonyama trust? Ngicela ungafundi ngizokusho kodwa ukuthi uminister ukushilo lapho ukuthi ingonyama trust ama beneficiary awo abantu isizwe zamakhosi nabantu bamakhosi. Mhlambe ikomiti lihle mhlambe sengihlala phansi ngoba ngithande mina ukuhamba ngawisolution. Uma ubheka ukudividewa kwemali collected by ITB nizokuthola sihlalo ukuthi ithi u75% uya esizweni leso laqoqwe khona imali. 75% uya esizweni leso laqoqwe khona imali. Why imali yezizwe idliwa abanye abantu? Kube kubhaliwe phansi kuumthetho. Why? U5% u10% uya enkosini. Ngo.
u10% uye kwi-ITB for i-administration, u5% bese uya esilweni. Kubhaliwe ke kwi-act ukuthi leyo mali yenzani. Hayi sihlala usihlusholani idibhaliwe. Ngiyabonga.
And Dr. Makhathini.
Asibonge Mangazitha. Nami ngibingelele amakhosi asendlunkulu. Ngibingelele uNgqongqoshe uShenge. Ngibingelele uGqawethu osokusha umthetho sase KZN. Ama officials akhona wonke la. I think ikubalekile ukuthi nathi samalungu ekomiti sibeke nje amabili amathathu ngoba uMpangazitha umntwana wenu angabi ngathi ngoba naku uMpangazitha esuka la uvumelana nani ningazange niluzwe olwethu uvo njengamalungu ekomiti ubese shilo usihlalo uMpangazitha ukuthi our role as members of this committee is to listen to all the stakeholders that will be engaging with from yesterday. And I think we've been very much enriched by the input from, firstly from the MEC and the chairperson of the Provincial House of Traditional Leaders, Undelu, and Namakhosi aphawulile emva kwalokho. So I think kuyasiza kakhulu siyambala nomphako ozosiza when we finally put this report together and also assist in making sure ukuthi the challenges that exist ITB in particular and also some of the issues eswabonayo nathi njenge committee the impasse between His Majesty and of course the minister kuyiqiniso ukuthi some of the proposals enwenzayo la with regard to the amendment to the act might assist kule impasse because njengoba eshilo uMpangazitha ukuthi we have an obligation and responsibility to make sure that umthetho uyahlonishwa, and I think as long as kunale quagmire that we find ourselves in terms of roles and responsibilities, kuzobaleka ukuthi lendlela any proposal ukuthi ilandelwe kushintsha umthetho so that whatever issues ezikhona zilungiswe iyalandelwa. So ngalo mazwi angifuna ukudla isikhathi uMpangazitha beseshilo ukuthi we are running a very tight ship ngenxa yesikhathi, but kusize kakhulu ukuza kwethu la. Siyabonga. I think sihamba sinomphako ozosiza to make proper recommendations so that finally these challenges can be resolved. Siyabonga Mphakazi.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Matikizela. The next one is Honorable Mkhatama.
Ndiyabulela Chair. Ndabezitha siyabulela also namakhosi akhona la endlini. Actually, Chair, it is really heartbreaking that we are sitting with a situation with regard to an entity which represents all of us. The Ngonyama Trust must succeed because its failure gives those who don't want to give land nationally to our people. They use that as a stick to say, you give them land. See, they can't manage their affairs. So we have a big responsibility, all of us, to make sure that the Ngonyama Trust succeeds, because it's a big victory of our people. In 1994, when everyone else is landless, this province was able to secure land for its people. So it is an asset that must benefit our people. But Yitama politicians who have created this problem. We made a law which is contradictory. I can't believe that we as politicians made a law that takes the powers of the king away from the king. The president of the country is elected and he has powers to elect his executive. But here we say the king is the sole trustee of that land, but there's no powers to appoint his own board. It's an insult to the king that we have a law like that. So the fundamental question is to address that matter, and that is the matter for parliament. All these political parties who are here must quickly make sure that the matter goes back to the National Assembly and we correct this mistake that was created by politicians, which is now causing problems for the Ngonyama Trust and the king. That is the first thing that we must do. Then we must advise our minister that he must not be informed by Roman Dutch law when he deals with such matters. He must be informed by the African idiom that presents the king as the head and we follow. And immediately we know now that there is a big contradiction, the king and the board. The minister must make sure that he follows what the king's desires are. And I want to suggest that he even suspend his own powers to make sure that the will of the king is actually realized. And Tina, as parliament, we must do the right thing, amend this act to make sure that the respect and authority of the king is restored. Diabulela.
Leli ndaba leli hlombe phela.
Angali ngibonge Sihlalo, the MEC, Amakhosi, the members and everyone who's present. Sihlalo, let me first agree with my learned colleague here that we must protect the Ngonyama Trust by any means. We're here as a committee members, but we are also here as Africans. We are the product of the masses, to be specific, African masses. So if it fails, we failed, because we said land or nothing. So how will we be trusted if we can't protect the one that is in our hands? So also, Honorable Matikizela indicated that we are here to listen, also with an obligation to ensure that the law is being adhered to. So we are here, we will go back and listen to everyone who's involved in this thing, so that the type of report that we put forward, it talks to reality. And when we say we represent the people, humbly to the kings and the chiefs, all the royals, when we say it must benefit the people, let it benefit the people. It is my plea. We will ensure that this matter is resolved. And with the recommendation that we've been given, we'll make sure that it's resolved for good, so that we don't come back here and discuss this. Because we don't want to see our chiefs or our kings on media fighting. We need to protect them. Kanimambo. Thank you, Chair.
It was up, was that of Honorable Nana?
Enkosi kakhulu umgcini sihlalo. Mandizibulisele torho kwinkosi zelizwe loba omkhulu. Ndibulise MEC wakwa COGTA namagosa onke karhulumente akhoyo apha. Ndinexhala ke Chairman, Ubongi is very fluent in isiZulu. Now ndifuna uthetha isiXhosa, ndifuna ukuphula isiZulu apha. Andinayo inkomo ndiza kuyidliwa xa kuthiwe ndophula isiZulu. Okwami kufutshane kakhulu. Ugxa wam uBonkosi uMadikizela. I think no chairman ebekha wayitatsha lo ndawo. Okokuba le session has really enriched us. Mhlawumbi uNkosi uZulu akayiqondanga yena. He made a proposal, uNkosi uZulu, that we also need to look into the CPAs vis-a-vis the trusts. It is our considered view as this committee that there is so much dysfunctionality in CPAs, they're not working well. So what you brought on the table is really enriching, and it's something that we'll have to take to Parliament. Secondly, I know, MEC, we are here on the matter of Ingonyama Transport and the relations with Amakosi and Nesilo. But there is a silent matter of Ingonyama Holdings. I would like to solicit your view, even if it's a 2-minute view on Ingonyama Holdings. Thank you very much.
Mangizibulisele kumhlali ngaphambili usihlalo wethu, ndibulise kumphathiswa wezozinzo kweliphondo, ndibulise kumakhosi ilizwe laKwaZulu Natal, ndibulise kumuntu wonke olapha endlini. Nami ndithi ndiyakhahlela ngale mini namhlanje. Ndiyakhuluma kancane ngizothetha isinguni. Isinguni ke niyazazi mos isinguni. Sawuthetha isinguni. Kwenzela uba bandithathe ulwimi lwaKwaZulu undivume. Bandicaphule kulwimi lwaKwaXhosa undivume. Bandicaphule kulwimi lwaMaswati undivume. Yonke lonto sisinguni.
Ubucaphula na kwamangisi sikuvume.
Nyanzelekile. Nyanzelekile sikaluguqule lo lwimi. Mhlanga phambili nami mandangeze apha kwinkokheli ze-portfolio committee. Ndivumelane hlalo ngamazwi ovule ngayo lenhlanganiso ndokuba size apha ngenene ukuzophulaphula uzomamela ngakumbi kulo mcimbi unengqiba kaxaka kule meko Ingonyama Trust. Ndivile ingqombo izolo ngokuba sipha kwisithethu sesilo dayiva ingqombo bayikhona kodwa hayi ayixolanga ngempela kwalo mcimbi walento. Say understand ke thina because bengumcimbi besimane sophatha simana sijonga intoni lento kanene. Siyazi background yeIngonyama Trust. Siyazi futhi uyayavela kanjani. Yenye izinto besisithi siyicommittee kuyafuneka ke sibe ne-study esisikhostashayo kule model. Because le model mhlambi ngemodel engancedisana kwamanye amaphondo angenayo imodel ekumila kunje. Savana kuba hayi nale model funeka siyijonge, sine model ye-CPA esiqhuba ngayo nale model engonyama nezinye model ezinovela, because we want to ensure that we are effective in our task as a portfolio committee. Dinga xesha hlalo ndiyiqonda ba because andifuna ungena kwepolitics alento. Ukuxhasa kakhulu because umbuzo wami uzoba lapha kule nto yeIngonyama Holding investment arm yale body. Nam ndinomdla kuloo nto kuba safumana ireport apha iyasikhwankqisayo kodwa ke siyafuna uyifumana kuni nani ba nazi ntoni ngaloo nto ba nayizolo khange siyifumane into etshoyo namhlanje sinangayifumani ke namhlanje xa sidibene ngohlobo sidibane nenkokheli eziphezulu zey'ngonyama trust le nto yale holding ingena phi yona okanye idithethwe ngubani phi umcimbi wayo bosiyayiqonda uba ngokomthetho i-holding ingonyama trust intona siyazi uba iphuncuke phi ke ngoku le nto njalo njalo keke into endokwenza ke nayo i-financial accountability because yiyo thina into esiqhubayo kakhulu kune-PFMA apha esiqhuba ngazo ezesinyanzelisayo uba masingene nalapho kungangenwayo khona singene thina kwekwakhona. So iyabaluleka ke into yoba sibe neclarity kwezonto ukwenzela uba amakhosi athi ezakuguqula lo mthetho nam ndiyixhasayo loo nto uguqule lo mthetho ukwenzela lo mthetho uguqulwe uchaphazela zonke izigaba neninamava azo nina njengabantu njenge-beneficiaries zengonyama trust. Umzekelo ophilayo ngeli xesha kusayinwa lo mthetho kukho iKwaZulu government kube khona iNatal. Lo mthetho ukhavarisha amakhosi ayephansi kuKwaZulu government bandibambe kakuhle kodwa iKwaZulu Natal ingeyiKwaZulu Natal ingamakhosi kwaZulu i-extender beyond including iNatal. Simane sibuzana ke ngoba ezi zingapha zikhavashwa nini ziyakhavashwa nale ingonyama trust okanye hayi. Ndiyenza loo nto kwenze uba lo mthetho uzothethwa ngawo ibe ngumthetho convincing overarching esiqinisekileyo into yoba ushiya umntu ngaphandle kule nto khona. Yiclarity ke leyo kum ebalulekileyo siyifumana ukwenzela uba noba siyifumananga apha kule intlanganiso kodwa kwezi engagement ibe iclarity siyifumanayo kule nto khona. Ibalekile nale mcimbi wokuthengiswa komhlaba xa kukho amasela abe umhlaba afanele babanjwe avalelwe. Uba ikhona isiqinisekiso ndizabula mbuzo bubuzwa ke nkosi bendimbhaleke apha noba nkosi uZulu na into yoba wayesesokolisanga ikhona imithetho ibhalwe phantsi because xa umntu ebe umhlaba and futhi saziwa uba uthathe ngokungekho semthethweni ifuna masixoxa ngecase esecourt ngoku loo nto le uba nabo abantu babe umhlaba njalo njalo. But le nto yelenseyini is of interest to us ukwenzela uba sikwazi ukuba sibone uba sihamba kunye na wakwesingqisha kunye. Ndiyavuya mna nofumana nezi percentage ze-allocation yomhlaba besingazazi thina ndifunde lukhulu apha namhlanje tshe babesingayazi uba kune-formula thina ye-allocation yomhlaba besazi uba ngumhlaba singayazi uba kune-allocation formula ekhoyo apha. Iyasincedisa ke loo nto thina kwenzela uba xa sicophele lo mcimbi kanye sizawuchophela lo mcimbi ukwenzela uba siphume nento kodwa in principle sicinga uba thina sikunye nani kule ngxaki esiyibonileyo nathi kule nto esicinga uba sizawukwazi uyicazulula ngokufutshane ngokukhawuleza okukhulu ngakumbi xa sidibene namadoda sidibene nazo zonke i-stakeholders simamele kakuhle asangaxoxa apha sizomamela nje i-stakeholder. Thanks, Chair.
Holdings, you know, maybe the board will explain it better, but it's not in line with the objects of the Act. Because in Ngonyama Trust itself, the checks and balances are there, and the regulations are there to ensure that people benefit through Ngonyama Trust. But one does not have sufficient knowledge of Ngonyama Holdings to the extent that we can contribute. But merely, Bangazita, is to appeal to the portfolio committee, as Amakosi have raised, that when the whole exercise is over, if we can have sight of the report. If it means, Chairperson, we must go to Cape Town when this report is being debated, we will arrange for Amakosi to go and observe the debate so that we see what are the other parties saying about the workings of Ingonyama Trust Board. But I think to us what was most helpful today was the input of Amakosi, as they are directly affected, and also the presence of the committee to come here to KwaZulu-Natal to hear and see for itself what are the issues on the ground. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable